Well, you have to look at me a little bit more. I'm here to give a brief report on the Grayson-Jockey Club Research Foundation, which is my employer, and we have funded about almost 300 projects for $21 million in 41 universities in the last since 1983. I decided to reach out to some of our researchers and ask them what they think are the most important and most exciting current research subjects that they're involved in. So I'm going to give you those opinions as opposed to my own. This is from Dr. Sue Stover at the University of California, Davis. From our standpoint, the projects and impacts are: one, about 50% of fatalities related to catastrophic injury are due to fetlock breakdowns. The majority of fetlock breakdowns are caused by proximal sesamoid bone fracture. Most of these fractures are existed with pre-existing pathology. So as we've heard in many circumstances today, early detection and prevention of the pathology can prevent fetlock breakdowns. Secondly, she says racetrack surface mechanical properties affect interaction of the hoof with the race surface, hoof slide, and fetlock hyperextension, which are all likely associated with fetlock breakdown too. And then she makes the point that you'll be hearing about tomorrow, that this relates to jockeys as well. A racehorse breaking down, of course, is likely to make the jockey fall, and so prevention of breakdowns in horses will enhance jockey safety. From Dr. Larry Bramlage of Rudin Riddle, he's talking about equine herpes virus. It has the potential to derail any major horse event: racing, showing, rodeo, or trail ride. Uncontrolled, it is deadly to the horses, and it is deadly to the events or venues it strikes. The Grayson-Jockey Club Research Foundation funded the research that has led to our ability to not only control the virus when it strikes, but to control the panic that strikes the human segment of whatever site it crops up. Dr. James Belknap of The Ohio State University, he said, "I would say the highest impact project that I've been involved with is the recent digital cryohypothermia project with Andrew Van Epps, where we demonstrated efficacy of hypothermia in protecting laminar structural integrity, even when it is not instituted until the onset of obvious lameness. This has had a large impact for the practicing veterinarians, as the onset of lameness in the clinical stage of laminitis, when they are commonly first called out to examine or treat a case. It was not known before this project whether treating with hypothermia this late in the game would still be effective." So that's a very exciting additional bit of therapy that's available. Dr. Steve Reed, who is chairman of our Research Advisory Committee and is also at Rudin Riddle, responded by, "The projects that I think have had the great impact would be the evaluation of intra-articular medication by the Colorado University group," that's Drs. McElraith, Frisbee, and Kolchak. Also support limb laminitis, racetrack services, and work on herpes virus to prevent and treat this disease, which has interrupted racing at several tracks due to neurological signs. So those are some of the things that people intimately involved with us feel most excited about. I've had 20 years here, and I have a great admiration for equine scientists. The fact that they can take a small amount of money compared to their human research brethren and keep up, sometimes take the lead, I think is really admirable. However, we are aware of the need to have another generation of equine scientists coming along. And with constricted university budgets, I don't think it is a sure thing that that's going to happen automatically. So we have a couple of programs. Several years ago, we instituted, at the suggestion of Dr. Hiram Polk, a distinguished human doctor, which is called the Stormcat Career Development Award, and it is a $15,000 stipend to a young person who's at a high stage of their education, and they will be working with a principal investigator or professor on a specific project. This is underwritten by Mrs. Lucy Hamilton, whose family stood Stormcat, and that's why it's named for him. That's been very successful. We've been doing that for 7 years, And as far as I can tell, everybody who's won the award has taken it very seriously and made the next steps. We've even had the occasion of a young person advancing quickly enough to apply for one of our regular grants and get it. So the Stormcat Award has been very successful. And this week, we were able to announce an additional award, a similar award, that will double our capacity to help the next generation of researchers. This is the Elaine Klein Career Development Award, and it's a commitment from the Klein family of Louisville. Elaine Klein was a very distinguished horsewoman and a champion in the show ring. So we're very happy to have those awards, and we think that we are doing service to help develop the researchers of tomorrow. Another thing, we have a program in concert with the AAP Foundation where we fund a speaker to go to the FFA convention every year. And again, that's an opportunity to reach out not to people in college yet, but to young people who by being in the FFA, you would make some assumptions about their interest in agricultural matters and to introduce them to the idea of equine research. I think that's a very good, seed money. It's not going to be dramatic, but it's good for the future. Now, I always have a chance. I always enjoy having a chance to explain to people how we operate. Our process is we have a deadline of October 1st for research awards, grants. We don't ever give block grants to universities. These are specific projects, and we have a 32-person committee made up of researchers, racetrack veterinarians, farm veterinarians. They run the gamut in specialization and geography. And Dr. Johnny Mac Smith, who is our veterinary consultant, assigns each project to the applicable team, a team that has the specific expertise, and they evaluate them, and then we convene this committee in Fort Worth every year, sit in a room for a couple of days, and really hash through and discuss every project. And Larry came up with this idea that has worked brilliantly. After we go to dinner on Saturday night, we come back in on Sunday morning, we display all the numerical rankings that they achieved as of Saturday night, and then he goes, the chairman of the committee goes one by one. Do you really like number one better than number two? Show of hands. Do you really like number two better than number three? And often during that process, there will be some alterations so that people having the whole thing before them can really be able to evaluate the importance. And our scoring is very big on impact. It can be a very, very well-written grant, but at the end of the day, if it's only going to affect a few horses, it's not going to score very highly. By the same token, it can be the sexiest subject going, but if the science isn't good, it's not going to get funded either. So when we make those recommendations to our board of directors, we feel very confident that we are using our donors' money very, very wisely. And this year we were back up over $1 million in funding for 15 projects. Now, one other thing I want to mention just in passing, the welfare and safety of the Racehorse Summit has never and is not and has never been a fundraising event. However, I do want to remind you of the announcement of 2 weeks ago that Starlight Stable has made a $75,000 challenge pledge to us if we can raise that amount for laminitis research, and they're doing this in memory of Intense Holiday. They're a really nice stakes winner who was lost to laminitis.